In this lesson, you're going to learn about a chess concept called centralizing knights. So what this concept of centralizing knights means is that the knights do better when they're in the center of the board. And by better, I mean that they control more space, which is usually a good thing for your chess pieces to be doing. If we take a look at this white knight, we can tell that it's in the center of the board, and this knight is controlling or attacking a lot of squares. What I'm going to do is take a black pawn and set it on every square that that knight is controlling, so that you can see how many ways that this knight can move in just one single move. So as you can tell, a knight located in the center of the board has the option to move to 8 different spaces in just one move. That's controlling a lot of territory for just one piece. If you take a look at the knight on the edge of the board, you see that the amount of spaces that it can now move to is cut into half. This knight is only able to move to 4 spaces now. So a knight on the edge of the board is not as effective at controlling space as a knight located in the center of the board. Even worse is a knight located in one of the corners of the board, and as you can tell, it can only then move to 2 spaces from that location. Another thing you should know about knights is that they do really well on what's called an outpost. And what an outpost is it's a square that has a pawn that's protecting it. So in this situation with this pawn structure, this square right here, this E5 square, is an outpost that would be a great place for this knight to get to. And you can tell that in just one move and then 2 moves that this knight can get to that outpost where it's in the center of the board, so the knight is centralized and it's going to be protected by this pawn, so that if another piece goes to attack it that's of equal or more value, you won't be too worried about having to move that piece right away because it's protected. So knights do really well on these outposts. If these pawns weren't like this, and instead maybe there's a pawn like this, you would have an outpost here and an outpost here, but we've just learned that knights on the rim are dim. In other words, knights on the edge of the board aren't very good. So a better outpost compared to this one would be to get your knight to this square somehow, maybe in a move to there, and then to there. So it'd take 3 moves to get to this outpost, but if you could work that into your strategy, it's a really good place to get your knights. In this position right here, this knight is located in the center, so it's a really good place for it to be able to control a lot of squares, and it's 1 move away from doing something that's really tricky called a knight fork. And what that means is that the knight moves to a square in which it's attacking 2 different pieces simultaneously. So in this circumstance where the knight just moved from this outpost to this square, it's giving a check to the king, so the king has to move, so the king's going to say move over here, and since the knight was attacking the king and the queen at the same time, once the king goes to move out of check, on the next move the knight can take black's most valuable fighting piece, the queen. So for this lesson, if you could remember this concept of knights being more valuable when they're in the middle part of the board, you'll be doing great for this lesson. As you're playing with your friends and family, try to make sure you're getting your knights in this area, and you'll start to see how many ways those more active knights lead you to having better chances at capturing your opponent's pieces. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thanks for watching.